Welcome to the Kingdompreneur Life Podcast with your hosts, Doreen and Pat Martin. Doreen and Pat became Kingdompreneurs after being in full-time ministry with Bishop T.D. Jakes. They've raised two out-of-the-box thinkers, Elisha and Hannah, that caught the entrepreneurial bug at the early age of 15. Pat, also known as CP, is a real estate investor, speaker, author, and coach. Doreen, or Raw Doreen as some know her, is a board-certified holistic health practitioner and business strategist. Together, they became top income earners in their network marketing company. They are passionate about giving you tools, ideas, and inspiration to take action in your business and spiritual life. Each week, they'll bring you an inspiring person or message to help you live a God-centered, holistic life that is uncluttered and rich with purpose. And now here's your hosts, Doreen and Pat.
Just to start things off, I'd like to give you one of my most favorite scriptures of all time. That's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him and He'll make your path straight. Hi, babe.
Hi. Thanks for joining us. We are so glad that you are connecting with us on our podcast. This is episode number 3. And today we're going to talk a little bit about our transition to Florida, because we left off with episode number 1 was talking all about how we became Christians. And then episode number 2 was about how we met and our marriage and ministry. And now episode number 3, we're going to talk about transition. We had a huge transition in our life that also transitioned us into becoming kingdompreneurs.
Absolutely. Well, we were on staff at a church, a big church out in Dallas, Texas. And then we pastored our own church. And then in the middle of pastoring our own church, a couple years into it, Pops, your dad, became ill, took ill with cancer. And you left Dallas and came out here to Florida to take care of him.
Yes, I did. I remember getting the phone call. I remember my dad and my mom both saying, hey, could you come back to Florida and can you help us take care of Dad? So my mom needed some help in taking care of him and really needed some help with his business. Dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, automotive business, and they needed someone to come in and kind of keep their eyes on everything and keep everything running while Dad was going for cancer treatments.
You know, that was a time in our life that the transition was really difficult. Doreen was here in Florida, and Elisha and I, my son Elisha was in the 4th or 5th grade at the time, and we were living in the Dallas area. I was doing my best pastoring the church. I was working. I got my insurance license. I was working out there and trying to hold things down, and it wasn't quite a year. And it was tough. It was tough being separated, and it almost cost us our marriage. Yeah,
most definitely did. I had Hannah with me at the time too, but she was only little. I think she was about 2 years old. So Hannah and I are living in Florida. Pat and Eli are living in Dallas, and just a lot of stress, outside stress factors playing, and causing just tension within the marriage.
Absolutely. And God had to get a hold of my heart. And I remember specifically, He spoke to my heart and said, look, I called you to be a husband and a father before I called you to be a pastor, before I called you to be anything else. And so I shut everything down in Florida, and it was a roundabout way. I shut everything down in Texas. In a roundabout way, God used some circumstances to get me and Elisha back to Florida, and really reconnecting and with my wife, with Doreen and Piper, our daughter, and really taking off. That transition, God really used something amazing out of that transition that birthed us into being kingdompreneurs.
Yeah, let's just talk about, I want to touch really quickly, because you said something really important there, that, God got a hold of your heart. Because I think so many times when we are in ministry and we are busy doing the work of the Lord, we think that that's what's important to God, is that, we're out there, we're working in the church, or we're working in evangelism, we're doing, things to help others. And we're neglecting our home life, right? Or we're neglecting our own health. That's our puppy, if you can hear her scratching. She was in the last podcast too, scratching on something. I'm not sure why she likes to scratch while we're on doing a podcast, but she does. So anyway, let's talk about that just for a minute, because so often we get off balance,
right?
And we're about saving the world when we need to be focused in on our own family, our own time with the Lord, our own health, and then out of that abundance, we give out and we go and we help and we serve others.
Well, that's a nice way to say it. I think the reality is when I started the church, it was what was I going to do next? I wanted to be in ministry, and maybe I'll start my own church. And we built it up to 55 people or so at one time, and really I think a lot of it has to do with egos. And a lot of people, I'm just talking for myself, but for me, it was about building this thing up, and it was about me. It was about Pat Martin building this thing and having a church and being the senior pastor and all that stuff of what I really thought this is what God wanted me to do. And for a short period of time, 2 or 3 years, it was. However, the direction God was taking us was far greater than us having, and for me, having that church, for me being that senior pastor. And that's when God really spoke to my heart and said, hey, what's more important? Is ministry more important, or is your family more important? And we had moved and made a life there in Dallas, Texas, and things were amazing. Things were going on. We had our beautiful dream house and all of that. And God said, look, if you're willing to lay that down, I'll take you to places that you've never even dreamed of going.
So I was in Florida. I was taking care of my dad, and he was diagnosed with lung cancer. They gave him 6 months to live. And I was up at night with him. I was studying about health and nutrition. Really, his body was too far gone to have any kind of recovery. Yeah, that could happen. So Dad passed away, and that was like in August, and we, made a commitment with my dad that we would stay in Florida, not move back to Dallas, and take care of my mom at the time.
Yeah.
And so we did. We relocated. We stayed in Florida. We knew that we were going to stay there. My mom was now a widow. We were going to be there for her. And I think at that time, really made it a priority that family is important, that our children were important, that relationships are important.
We went to that marriage conference.
We did.
And your dad signed our new marriage certificate.
Yep, that was before he passed. Yep, he did.
Just maybe a few weeks before that.
For sure. So fast forward, I would say, a couple of months, we are now, as a couple saying, okay, well, what do you have for us, God? What are we to do now that we're here in Florida? How are we going to, provide?
Well, share everybody with that before, 8 years, 10 years before that, when we left Florida, you had started a nail salon called Hands of Praise, and your sister was still running it. And share with people how you did that, and I'll share with the people trying to figure out what do we need to do.
Yeah. So while we're trying to decide what it is that God really wants us to do now while we're in Florida, my dad has passed, I decided to go back to work at the nail salon that I had originally started 10, 12 years before that, and at least start to have an income from doing nails. And you called a friend who gave you a job rehabbing and doing construction work.
Yeah, 2 hours away. And he threw me a bone. I was making $15 an hour, guys, and I didn't know what to do. But during that time, then that 2 hour drive, I got up at 4:45 in the morning, and I was in the car driving by 6, maybe 10 after 6. Heading to Sarasota, Florida, 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, that gave me time to pray. I had praise and worship. And remember that lady gave you the Ron LeGrand tapes on real estate. Mm-hmm. And I started listening. That became my library, folks. That in that car, I actually had an old 1986 Honda Accord with the tape deck in it. And these old real estate tapes
that one of my clients at the nail salon came in and she just said, hey, I bought these and I never used them. Would you like to have them? And for some reason I said yes. So I took the tapes and we would listen to the real estate tapes. Pat would listen to them while he was driving.
And within a month, we decided to make offers on properties, and we located a property. Doreen started searching out properties. We started making offers, and we got our first house, and we rehabbed it. That means we did all the remodeling of. So we bought a fixer-upper, painted inside and out, redid the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, everything, down to the baseboards, and made this house super-duper beautiful. And we flipped it. And we made $29,992.43.
I remember we were ecstatic about
being able
to make that kind of money. I don't know how long it took us to rehab. I don't remember because it was our very first one.
Well, we bought it in November and we sold it and rehabbed it and sold it on Valentine's weekend.
Okay, so just like within a couple of months, we were able to make a significant income. We were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, because we had worked for years in the ministry,
making peanuts.
Making peanuts. I think I was making, $18,000 at the time when I first started, and I don't know what you were making, but anyway, this one house flip that
Birchwood,
that we did really just showed us that the possibility of making a significant income through real estate. But we also knew that we had to educate ourselves, right? It was about educating ourselves of how to do the business, which is what we did. And then we also had to expand our mind and our thought pattern of, what we thought we could make, what would be possible, right? We had self-limiting beliefs.
Reprogram our mind's money blueprint with T. Harv Eker's book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yep, that was one of several that we...
And the conference that we went to.
Yep.
So guys, when she's saying all this, that we had to educate ourselves, we started educating ourselves with the tapes, and then we got involved with because we listened to Ron LeGrand's tapes, we got involved with our local RIA group, the Real Estate Investment Association group, the Tabria group in Tampa. We started going to the monthly meetings there, and then we heard Ron LeGrand was going to be in town, so we went to his one-day event. And then out of that one-day event, we chose to purchase a boot camp. And that boot camp was up in Washington, D.C., because we stayed at the Watergate Hotel before that they tore that down or redid it. But we stayed there at the Watergate Hotel and went to our first conference. And we paid, that was big money. That was like $3,000. And that was big money for us. But we paid for that out of our profits, out of that $29,992.43 profit we made on the Birchwood house. We were taught to invest back into our education.
Yeah, that was even something new for us. I remember when we bought the first education, what would you say? It was $3,000. Ron LeGrand had a special that if you did a deal within like your first 90 days, he would give you back your initial investment for your education. So we knew, okay, this was a great opportunity for us to get an education and then to also get our money back. So we did it. We
went and got our second house.
Yeah, went and got our second house, got a deal.
On Kimball Drive, Kimball Court.
And flipped it, and then Ron LeGrand gave us our initial investment of $3,000 whatever for our education. So we got a free education is how we looked at it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Tell them the story about the guy Bob, the private lender, that when we were at that the Watergate Hotel where the conference was going on, and Ron did the special. And tell them what it.
So we were always reinvesting some of our profits back into education, more understanding of how to do different types of real estate. And so this one course or this one class that he was selling was, how much was it?
Well, he was selling all his boot camps. It was $16,000 worth of boot camps at the time, and we're like, oh my God.
It was such a large number for to wrap our minds around. Like we were like, oh my goodness, like we knew we needed this education, but we didn't know how in the world we were going to be able to pay for it. And
Bob came up and I was at the back table.
There was just a gentleman that we had met at the event that we did not know, who basically offered to give us his credit card and pay for our education.
He put his arm around my shoulder, and he pushed me up to the back table, and he says, "Are you going to get this?" And I was, "Oh man, I can't afford it." And that's when I really learned that phrase: "Don't say you can't afford. Say how can you? How can I?" And he threw his credit card down. He says, "Well, you can afford it now. I want to buy it for you."
So God had given us favor.
That was crazy favor.
Yeah, with a complete stranger. Who bought our education for us, $16,000. Of course, we paid him back after.
Well, it was half price. It was $79.99.
And we ended up paying him back. But God gave us favor with a complete stranger that bought our education for us.
And not only that, Bob became a private lender on our deal in the Lake in the Woods house. We did that deal, and we made a big profit there, and we were able to pay Bob back, and that deal went really, really well too.
God, that's one thing that we have to understand, I think, as Christians, is that is how God works. God works through people to have His will be accomplished. It's not like you just sit down and you just expect money to just drop out of the sky for whatever you want to do. But it's networking, and it's going and it's speaking with people, and God will use certain people to make connections with for you, or to open doors for you, and in order to get His will accomplished. And that's what happened when you met Roger Salam. Tell that story.
Oh man! Well, guys, after we then were going to these boot camps and all over the country, and learning about fine fix and flips and wholesales and sub twos and rehab and pretty paper and buying notes and mortgage, all that stuff. And it was just so awesome because we actually implemented and went and did what we were taught. And I went to an event down in Tampa. And I was walking into the Hilton Hotel, and this gentleman that looked familiar to me, he was walking out through the doors that kind of, those magic doors that kind of open up when you walk through them. And I walk through one side, he passes me, and I turn around, and he turns around. And we have that look on our face, I know you. And then we walked back into the hotel lobby, we started talking, and as a result, I almost didn't turn around. Had I not turned around, that one look made a contact that changed our financial future forever.
How so?
Well, we got involved with Roger Salam's mastermind groups, and masterminding, that was expensive. That was like $10,000 to be in a mastermind group. And so in that first mastermind class I went to, I had an idea for a course. And when I was sitting there, one of the other heavy hitters, and I was completely out of my element, and it forced me and expanded me to grow. And that's when Lou Brown says, "What are you doing next weekend? Get your course finished, come up, and you're going to speak for me at my rookie slot on Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. And then I went up to Atlanta and sold, I sold maybe $10,000 worth of product and did really, really well. And then 2 weeks later, Tim Mike calls me up and says, "I want to do a webinar." And in that webinar, I kid you not, we did $105,000 in product sales in about 72 minutes.
So at the time we made the investment of the $10,000 to go to the mastermind, we did not know what was going to happen after that. But
the connections.
But we've never, ever not benefited from investing in ourselves. So that, I just want to share that because I think that's a key thing for entrepreneurs to understand. You have to invest in yourself. Number one, you just have to. And you will always benefit from investing in yourself. You'll never be at a loss, I don't believe, from not investing in your education. Is
right.
What is going to get you to that next level, or the personal development class is going to be that thing that's going to give you your breakthrough. So don't be afraid to invest money in yourself.
When you were sharing there about investing in yourself, we did that investment, and I think back then we looked at the next 90 days. We did over $500,000 in sales and profits just in that next 90 days after attending Roger's the Winner Circle, the mastermind group.
Yeah, that was a learning experience for us as well, to always be investing in ourselves and furthering our education and making connections and seeing how we can support other entrepreneurs and network with other entrepreneurs. Very, very huge key in becoming a successful entrepreneur.
And as a kingdompreneur, it's also about God's favor.
Yes.
God guides us, leads us, and it's just like that scripture I shared in the beginning, trusting Him with all of our heart. Him leading you places that you didn't even dream you were going. Mm-hmm. And that was just one of the most exciting times to take us from having self-limiting beliefs to breaking and destroying those self-limiting beliefs and those financial self-limiting beliefs, but always giving back and putting money towards their education so we can go higher and further with our business.
Yeah, that's one thing we've always done too. We always believed in tithing and giving back. We know, we had that down, always giving like our 10%. We know we have to give back financially as well as our time. But anyway, so we are real estate investing. We are using the real estate also as a ministry tool, right? So it wasn't just about making money. It was God was bringing people across our path. We're witnessing, we're ministering about Jesus, as well as, making a significant income through our real estate investment company. And I get a little bit burnt out and really feel God starting to tug on my heart that I need to go in another direction. And that's when I decided to go back to school, because I remembered actually how much I loved studying and helping my dad when he was sick with cancer. And I started to have some problems with my own body, just from, I think, overworking and, not really taking care of myself and just being in that constant grind, which I don't believe is part of God's plan for us to always be grinding. I know that's popular right now, but God wants us to, I think, operate from a place of rest. So I go back to school. I become a health coach, health practitioner, and I start to use food as medicine to heal my own body. And God starts bringing me other, clients at that time before I even finished school that also were suffering with different ailments in their body. And I was able to help them transition into a more healthy lifestyle, connecting the spirit, soul, and body. And that's where we are today. We are still doing real estate investing. Pat still does real estate investing. I'm doing health coaching. I really don't do any more real estate with you, Pat, but we still work together as a team.
We do. And that's, I'm going to share with you guys that there's another scripture that I love, and this is one that really embodies Doreen and I being together, and that's Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron as one man or one person sharpens another. We tried to make it a go separately, where Doreen did her thing, I did my thing, and it just didn't. We didn't do so well, and we had our ups and our downs, and we just didn't have our connection, and that was another tough struggle for me. We were doing our own big events and having people come to our real estate events, and Doreen was working. She was in that grind, like she said, and working herself to death. And she really needed to focus in on her health. And now we can come back together where we can help each other in our businesses. And so in my real estate, there's things that she helps me out with today, but she's not actively doing the real estate like I am. And she does the health business. I help her in the health business, but I'm not the health practitioner like she is.
I was going to okay, so while I'm maybe 2 years, 3 years into my health coaching business, I decide to take a look at a product line that a stranger, brought across my path and said, hey, you might want to take a look at this product. It might help you in your health coaching practice. So it was a network marketing company, and Pat and I were opposed to doing network marketing, but I really felt God saying to me that... Another
self-limiting belief.
Yeah. I really felt God saying, I want to use this product to help people. I want to use this product in your business to help you financially and for you to help others financially. So I kept saying to Pat, I think God wants to use this network marketing business model as something to add to our portfolio. And so reluctantly, he joined, locked arms with me and said, okay, let's, give it a try. Let's see how many people we can impact. Let's see how many people we can help. Let's just really make a run for this. And so we did. We really focused our efforts together on building a network marketing team, of impacting lives. And I don't know, was it 14 months later, we became one of the top earners in our company?
Well, boy, you're sure making this sound really nice. The real story is that I had a big real estate deal go south, and I had a $300,000 spread that I saw disappear and go right between, between my fingers. It was gone, and I was stressing. I put on about 15 pounds at the time, and I had heartburn. I was a fire-breathing dragon, and I had told Doreen, I am not going to become one of you green people. Drink that green stuff, hug trees, sing Kumbaya, and all that stuff. And when that deal went south, and Doreen was concerned I might even have have heart problems or whatever, she wanted me to relax and chill. And that's when she said, and by the way, I did one of her 10-day transformations and lost 16 pounds. And on day one, I no longer had acid reflux. And I probably had to sing Kumbaya once or twice. So,
so silly.
With that, she said, hey, what do you think about it? And I said, well, let's make a run. Let's do it for like 60 days and no harm, no foul. I need a break from real estate. And so we ran with it. And 15 months later, we were number 23 in the company worldwide. And one of the, 23 crowns. We were the number 23rd top ranking crown in the company.
So again, God, supernaturally blessed our efforts, gave us a ton of favor.
Yeah.
We were able to use this as a tool to really help people break their addiction to food. It was amazing. So it is another income stream that we even have today,
yes,
currently in our portfolio. So,
and we use the products because it's the best products out there. It's live, super green, whole foods that are all organic and non-GMO.
So I think we can end today's podcast. Absolutely.
We covered a bunch of stuff.
We covered a bunch. And we will do the next podcast and bring you up to date where we are today, living our lives, living the laptop lifestyle, and how we got to
here in Ecuador, on the beach.
And how we got there.
Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. You just want to say goodbye?
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody. Talk to you later. Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to the Kingdompreneur Life podcast. Don't forget to join us next week for another inspiring episode. We'd love for you to head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. We love reading all your comments. You can also connect with us on our websites. Pat is CoachPatMartin.com, just like it sounds, CoachPatMartin.com. And Doreen is found at RawDoreen.com. That's RAWDOREEN.com. You can download your free gift that will help you live life uncluttered and rich with purpose.